Let's give this a second and see if it comes up. There we go. Alright, welcome back to my little ghost, who I've decided is probably future me. The only one who would be this excited about me streaming basically story time. Hopefully we'll get some good stuff going, so I'm just gonna get started here. I'd give you a recap about last time. Well, here, I'll try. Previously, we tried to name ourselves Horatio, but apparently not enough, so we are Horatio. Because. We made friends, quote unquote, with the gray Horatio in the cafeteria. Then we got stuck on basically crap duty and skipped out on it with him and ran into somebody and said, hey, yeah, sure, I'll go to the picnic. Go on a picnic with you in the gardens. And when we wrapped, gosh, it's been almost 20 days. I gotta get better at this. We were entering the gardens, so let's continue. Turgus F-07 steps in and closes the door behind him. On this side, it is barely distinguishable from the thick foliage surrounding us. I look around me in astonishment. Plants, bushes, trees, and vines are everywhere, draping over one another towards a canopy I can barely make out. The place is deeply alien and yet oddly familiar. It feels like being in my clone birth. Your mouth is open. Be careful you don't accidentally swallow a mosquito. A mosquito? Don't worry, there are no mosquitoes here. Try as we might have, though, it was impossible to prevent most insects from cropping up here and there. The larvae were in the saplings and in the pots, you see. Anyway, we also have an assortment of wildlife ranging from small amphibians to birds, with more exotic species coming from all over the Empire. Those who survive, anyway. This way. Do watch your step. He starts walking through the underbrush. I step after him gingerly, careful not to trample anything or step on anything weird. I'm going to assume the answer to the second one is yes, and go with asking if there are predators. Do you have any predators in here? He chuckles. No, nothing that would hurt you too much. We are the biggest threat around here. We walk for what feels like a while through the forest. Every once in a while I catch a glance of a familiar sight, a support pillar here or a window pane there. Otherwise I'm pretty lost. I think we have in all likelihood covered a couple of 100 meters, but I'm pretty sure I could never find the exit we came in through, ever again. This last thought kind of freaks me out. I hurry to catch up with Turgus F-07 when he rounds a big tree and suddenly stops. Nice. Just going to take a moment to enjoy this. We're there. We have arrived at a small clearing nested against a stone ridge. That can't be real rock. And then I realize that off the edge drops a waterfall. This place is breathtaking. I start smiling without being able to help myself. Whoa. Yes, I'm quite fond of this place too. Come on, let's introduce you. I snap out of my reverie. Introductions? Turgus F-07 walks into the clearing, stepping on a patch of grass. Another Horatio is lounging there, laying back next to the water. I recognize him immediately. That guy. Horatio F-21. I guess I should call myself F-21. That'll be easier. Allow me to introduce you to Darian F-19. I know him. Oh. He sits up a bit and waves at me. Fancy of you to join us. Tergus F07 sits down cross-legged, and I follow suit, although it takes me a couple of tries to get it right. Darien F19 opens his satchel and starts pulling out various food items from it. He starts passing fruit around. I eye the thing suspiciously. It's purple, with a curly hard stem and no visible imperfections. Did he just hand me an eggplant? ... I wait for them. I'm just a bit cautious. I've been burned before, and by the exact same person. Darien F19 winks at me and takes a bite. All right, then. Juice pours out after my first crunchy bite. It's so incredibly tasty that I feel tears well up in my eyes. A sweet note followed immediately by a sour taste that makes the back of my palate tingle. It is my favorite food in the world. I try to speak with a full mouth. This is so good. Where do you get this kind of fruit? That sounded silly. I don't care. Oh, the tree's right there on the station, in another part of the greenhouse. Right here on the station. Duh. He smirks. They grow on the same goop as you. Gross. This dampens my satisfaction a little bit, and I eat the rest of my fruit in silence. Tergus F07 and Darien F19 seem slightly amused by my reaction. To answer your question, though, I didn't pick them myself. I liberated these from the station's pantry. They're reserved for officers and brothers of the station, comparable or superior to that of our dear Tergus F07 here. Liberated, huh? Let's say they're unlikely to miss any of it, right, Tergus F07? Yes, their stomach tends to be delicate since they're used to the Imperial nourishment feed. You mean the slop we get in the mess? Indeed, most of them are so used to eating it that their organs aren't really up for anything different. But on a station where your food regimen is assigned to you, what you eat shows how important you are, so they put on a brave show. In a way, we're sparing them this trial. Here's what I spared them from today. Catch! Darien F19 hands out a variety of cookies and what I think is a soft cheese with a mild taste. We top it off with a fizzy drink and then sit in companionable silence, idly watching the water stream by. This can only end badly. Birds sing in the trees around us. We're 1,000,000 kilometers away from the rest of the station. Want to play a game? We turn towards Darien F19. Come on, Horatio, anyone? You know I'm always up for a game. What about you, Horatio F21? I have no idea what that game is about. I'm not sure I'm up for another bout of faking my way through the day. It was so nice just hanging out. What should I answer? How about we go for a splash instead? The water looks nice. They look at one another. I mean, we could. Did you bring your swimsuit? I didn't. I knew bathing was always a possibility, so I packed a few. There's even one for you, Horatio F21. Ugh. Thanks. Darien F19 rummages in his satchel and hands out a few pieces of brightly colored synthetic underwear. Both him and Tergus F07 get up and start undressing, so I stand up to do the same, but for some reason I turn around. Privacy? Sorry. Let the record show that I hate these things. No one's recording you. Whoops. Then I'm just not comfortable with your noodle in my puddle. Wait, what? No one's recording you, and I'm just not comfortable with your noodle in my puddle. Alright then. What about you, Horatio F21? I look down at my own midsection. I'm rather embarrassed by the garish colors of my outfit, however small it is. Oh, it itches. I'm pretty sure this fabric will give me a rash. It's not very comfortable, is it? I know, those are the worst, but Darien F19 here doesn't want any bits floating around him for some reason. Hey, Darien F19, our bits are every bit as perfect as yours. We're made the same. Whatever, brother, just keep them in your pants. I'm not sure what the deal is with those two, so I decide to dip an experimental toe in the water. It's oddly warm. Tergus F07 chuckles. It's gonna ruin this for me. Surprising, huh? It's not a real waterfall. It comes from a pump all the way in the back, so of course it's room temperature by default. Oh, okay. I feel like this would have been better if the water had been a little colder, but even so, it feels pretty amazing. I'm cautiously wading into the water when I hear a shout and a rustle from beyond the ridge. Excelsior! Darien F19 runs out from the bushes and leaps into the water, grabbing his ankles and curling up into a ball. He barely misses us and drenches us from head to toe. So much for progressively getting wet. Jumping into the water, however, seems to be rather fun. I decide to get in on the action. I only get out of the water when my fingers and toes turn bluish. This was exceedingly enjoyable. Tergus F07, Darien F19, and I lay down on the grass and wait for the light from 1,000 distant stars to dry us out. I think I'm about to take my first nap. Oh, look at the time. Tergus F07 stirs, gets up, and dusts himself off quickly. Darien F19 and I do the same, reluctantly. Well, back to the rat race. Alas. What does that even mean, anyway? Tergus F07 considers my question for a moment, then leads us out of the clearing, back into the forest the way we came. You know what? I don't think I've ever actually seen a rat. Come to the hangar bay someday. I'll show you the Calgaros prairie rats that hang around the condensed... Can that just be condensers? I'm just going to call it condensers. You'll love them. I don't think so, dear. We reach the door, which Tergus F07 opens, and closes behind us. I start. Well, that was fun. I turn around. They're walking down different paths and away from me without so much as a goodbye. Whatever. I shrug. I'm weirded out, but nonetheless thankful for the opportunity. I make my way home exhausted. I've never been happier to see my bed. I dive face first into it and instantly fall asleep. I like to give a couple seconds of quiet for the music, which hopefully is audible. Over the next few days, I settle into a routine, marked by classes, mundane and strange alike. As much as possible, I do my own thing. I do attend the classes and the extracurricular activities, up to a point. I try to keep a low profile and make sure no one notices me. For that, I use the trick Darien F19 showed me with the hollow screen. It works, I think. Nonetheless, all things considered, while I am far from being the master of my fate, I have found a relatively easy-to-live routine. Master Sergeant X B12 and the instructor clone I've learned was called third-rate Chamberlain Megres Turgis F07 join Master Aeternus P02 to lead specific classes. This is just a lot of names I'm never going to remember. From our accelerated program, our primary purpose becomes increasingly clear. We need to pass the inspection ceremony from Horatio Prime, with flying colors and at any cost. Learning how to actually perform at this Iceander's Academy? Well, maybe later. I don't understand any of what's happening right now. We learn that a big rehearsal is planned for the end of the week. My classmates seem excited. Personally, nothing scares me more than this. One more mistake and it's off to the recycling chute with me, I'm sure of it. I dread this inevitability. And most importantly, remember, do not mess this up. Do not screw this up, cadets. Whatever. I kind of like Darien 19. The ceremony rehearsal is taking place today on the concourse. My classmates and I are arrayed in 2 lines, facing one another. The excitement is palpable for this part, as we are apparently going to perform the imperial... I'm just going to call it the bass dance, a courtly dance that was extremely popular a few centuries ago. This explains why we've had absolutely no dance classes so far. Us newly decanted clones and our instructors alike know the dance very well. Normally. I would say that my memory of it is foggy, but of course I have absolutely no recollection of this dance, or anything, ever. The only things I know about dancing in the Horatio Empire are things I learned while browsing on my holoscreen. First, that there are dozens of dances that have come and gone in favor throughout the centuries. Second, that dancing is sometimes seen as a conduit for social advancement, as it is a chance to mingle with the powerful. It has apparently been used as a plot point in countless stories and dramas to the point where it is considered a well-worn cliché. This cliché, though, most certainly contains a kernel of truth. Because, this is a plot point. We have been paired up randomly with one another, some of us having the honor of dancing alongside our instructors. I note that Aeternus P02 is partnered with Extras B12. Are you afraid of something, Aeternus P02? My own dance companion is not anyone I've actually ever talked to, barring the disappointed grunt when our respective names were drawn. I've already forgotten his. Attention, cadets. Every me on your marks. He presses a couple of keys on his holopad. And music. This dance is not the worst they could have picked. In bass dance, the leading couple performs the moves first, and the other couples replicate. This leaves me a couple of beats to try to process what I'm seeing and mirror their movements. I'm gonna need all the help I can get. They start. A step forward and a deep bow with an arm extension. I can do that. I nod towards my partner. He grudgingly nods back. Don't be like that, buddy. We're in this together. Step forward and a deep bow. I put my right foot in front, put my weight on it, and bend to the waist while looking at my partner's feet. So far, so good. Aeternus P02 and Extras B12 have straightened back up and are now taking a side step to the left, back, without moving the right foot. Then they step back with their left foot, come back, still without moving the right foot. This is where I'm going to get totally screwed, because in a normal game I would be writing this stuff down in code. We'll see. I slide my foot to the left in a posture that is reminiscent of what I like to call the Extras B12 power stance, and back. Then I step backwards, shift my weight equally among both feet, and come back. I'm slightly off tempo, but I don't think anyone has noticed. The leading couple starts a series of small steps toward one another. After 5, they stop, then sidestep to the right, and come back, then step backwards, come back again, and take a deep bow with another arm flourish. It's the most complicated step yet. I take 5 cautious steps forward, focusing on my feet. A step to the right, my foot slides a bit on the polished floor, but I recover gracefully with my own kind of arm flourish. I step back just a little too fast, correct my course in a lunge that brings me too close to my dance partner. I take a deep bow and lose balance halfway through, headbutting him right in his own bow and sending us both sprawling to the floor. He seems absolutely furious. Hey, I did that right. You moron, can't you watch where you step? The 2 lines of dancers stop. Every me is staring at us. This is bad. What kind of subpar batch do you come from if you can't even follow along? Hey, I'm pretty sure I did that right. Look. The music stops too. This is very bad. Extras B12 pushes his way through to us. What happened here, cadets? Explain yourselves. My classmate wastes no time in throwing me onto the bus. I start yammering something about having slipped on the slick floor when I notice Aternus P02 has joined the circle of onlookers. I decide the best course of action is to be quiet now. Extras B12 summarizes the situation for the headmaster. It seems Horatio F21, I forget my own name, fell onto the other cadet. Aternus P02 turns to us. Is the bass dance too difficult for you initiates? My classmate breathes in to protest, but a gesture from the headmaster stops him in his tracks. Not one more word. He raises his voice to address the crowd. The ceremony rehearsal is cancelled. You can all thank Initiate Horatio F21 for this initiative. You can go back to your quarters now. What? There are audible gasps and murmurs. Aternus P02 turns back to me. Initiate, come with us. He moves to leave. Extras B12 in tow. Yes, sir. I get up and follow a few steps behind the pair. I have a bad feeling about this. We make our way through quiet hallways, with neither of them speaking. We reach an area I have never set foot in. The station is as quiet as always, but in here, under these circumstances, it has a certain oppressive feeling. As we turn a corner, Aternus P02 throws me a sidelong glance that sends shivers down my spine. The headmaster steps in through an otherwise unremarkable door. Extras B12 stops, waits for me to enter, and the door closes silently behind him. Despite my precarious situation, I can't help but stare at the opulence of the room. This is everything I've seen in my series, and more. The view is breathtaking. I don't know what that sentence means. This is everything I've seen in my series. That's pretty. Aternus P02 is looking out the window, his back to us. After a few moments, he turns around and breaks the silence. Initiate Horatio F21. It is bad when a newly decanted clone catches my attention. Do you know why? No, sir. The defining trait every me here have in common, and that we value above all else, is ambition. We want to get places, gain power. Sometimes, well, most times, we seize it from the cold, dead hands of the brother who held it before us. We want to be seen in a prime light, and to operate in the shadows whenever we need to do more unsightly actions. The worst that could happen is for somebody else to catch us in a situation of weakness. Unfortunately for me, my ability to produce an awe-inspiring batch of cadets that can pass muster is currently in jeopardy. Your antics today have left me in a precarious position. One of my cadets not meeting our standards would be a delay in our esteemed Emperor's plans, a delay I would be responsible for. It might be a lot easier for me to just get rid of you and pretend you were never here in the first place. We are, however, as you no doubt have noticed, rather severely short-staffed aboard the station. I was loath to reveal the extent of the situation to the idiots overseeing the cloning facilities in this system for reasons you can imagine. Therefore, until we have discreetly replenished our complement of station personnel, I would rather not have to get rid of anyone, whether they happen to displease me or not. I have two options when it comes to what will happen to you. The first one is the easiest. Assign you on a special mission. Send you to investigate the disappearance of our patrol. With some luck, you might never come back, and if you do, we will have learned valuable information. In any case, you are out of the way. The second option exists only because we have invested time and resources in you, and there is a tiny chance you might turn out all right given the proper training. A second chance, if you will, to prove that you can perform like any of your brothers. At the same time, I would hate to extend this offer to you if you were not ready to step up. Do you understand? The choice ultimately is yours. Are you ready to put in the effort, or is this all proving too much for you? I am amazed I managed not to say anything, snarky or otherwise, during this entire monologue. Oh, these answers are traps. What would you recommend? Yes, what would you recommend? I have several internal reports that show a tendency to favor your own needs over those of the Empire. If your own person is what interests you, an environment with fewer people might be preferable. That was not clear at the slightest. This is actually a hard choice. Special mission it is, then. I'm tired of the song and dance. This is probably for the best. If you cannot follow the music, march to the beat of your own drum. See how that goes for you. I don't know if he's helping me or not. We walk from the nice part of the station to the next part of the station that is less nice. To the part that is supposedly the worst, but actually looks fairly similar. As it is with locations, so it is with Horatios, I guess. They all look the same on the outside, yet for reasons of social stratification, they are placed in a hierarchy based on incomprehensible reasoning. Hey, Turgus F-07? Yes? Why, for reasons of social stratification, do we place things in a hierarchy based on incomprehensible reasoning? Ha! I'd say the reasonings are clearer than your word choice. Don't put me down. I'm extending Horatio elegance to my vocabulary. By the way, what exactly is a Chamberlain? And is that a promotion from Junior Lab Technician? Well, let me put it this way. The only thing lower than a Junior Lab Technician is the floor designed to support their weight. Here's your new room. Don't be surprised. Why? It's just like your last one, but placed lower on the hierarchy based on incomprehensible reasoning. You smug jerk. I laugh. I like the guy. Settle in and then come find me if you get bored. I'll be doing Chamberlain-y things around the concourse. So this is the bad part of town? I wonder how bad it is. Maybe there are rats. Maybe the food is awful. Wait, maybe the rats are the food. Though, to be honest, that's more or less how it tasted in the better parts of town anyway. There is still the ever-present hum of air and water pipes, but coarser and louder, less refined. Maybe the bad part of town is where aging public servants go to die in peace. It's Florida. But it could be worse. I could be with Extras B12, nodding my head eagerly at propaganda and deeply honestly believing everything that Eternus P02 says. Anyway, whatever being a good Horatio is about, I'm failing at it. I thought it'd be easy enough to exploit the fact that everyone acts the same and expects others to follow suit, but for some reason I'm sticking out like a sore thumb. I find my new room, which basically makes me miss my old one. No more charm, but even louder. I move in and make myself at home, which takes less time to do than it does to read about it. I dare not risk death by boredom. Oh, I decide not to risk death by boredom. I check my holopad. The options seem to be a virtual tour that shows where Horatio himself trod the last time he visited. Either do that or go look up one of my pals. Let's go see what Darian's up to. Apparently I'm a friend to Darian F19 because my holopad not only shows me where he is, but how to get there. And I never would have made it without the map. It starts here, where I sneak through a maintenance hatch at a specific time to move to the next point. And I only take a few steps here before I have to turn and go into a storage room, and then out a door in the back that leads me to another place. And here I am. Ooh. This hallway looks familiar, but in the way that everyone and everything looks like everyone and everything else. However, it is in such a sorry state that I am absolutely sure I never set foot here. Except here, for the first time, there are beings in the room that are definitely not clones. Silence, please. Do what he says. Thank you, Rink. We are here today, together, assembled by a common cause. We live under a regime dedicated to uniformity and repression. We cannot choose what we do or where we do it. We have talked about this long enough. We have endured this long enough. The room mumbles in agreement. I start looking for cameras. No, not for long enough, for too long. But the days of this regime are numbered. We must take our first steps towards change, towards freedom, towards a community of sentients who seek their own paths, make their own choices. The only question is that when change comes, will you be ready? Will you take up the struggle in whatever form it comes? Will you fight for a better future? The room is filled with clapping hands and flapping lips. Lots of agreement, lots of murmuring. Darian F19 is basking in the glow of his fiery oration, and everyone else looks like they just want things to move. Darian F19 waves me over to speak privately. So, Horatio F21, are you in? Aw, geez, guy. What, in trouble? Probably. Stop that. In sync, in the movement, are you with us? We could use you. Before I can answer, he continues. Just meet me in 10 at the hangar. Turkish F07 and I have been asked to do a routine patrol. He looks absolutely delighted. And that is going to be our ticket to revolution. You have to join us. Look around and think about what your other options are. In fact, that is more convincing than anything he has said during the speech. Okay, I'm in on it. We'll start there and see where it goes. I'll see you in the hangar then. I hesitantly said about finding the aforementioned hangar. I figured that a place where you park battlecruisers should be enormous and easy to find, but I didn't take refined Horatio sensibilities into account. Ships require fuel and cleaning and maintenance, and they're noisy and smell bad. Ergo, you put them down on the underside of the station where nobody has to put up with their more upsetting characteristics. I finally find it, though, and it is awesome. It's so enormous that it has its own wind patterns, and so full of ships that it definitely has its own smell. It's pretty cool looking. There is a metallic tang on the back of my tongue as I breathe the air. It also smells of ozone and oil, as well as that unique tainted blueberry odor of scorched adamantium. Adamantium? And it is full of ships. Extraordinary ships. I've seen their likeness on the serials, on Extras B-12's insignia, and on propaganda material, but to see them with my own eyes? Wow. A full kilometer of ships is a lot of ships. I told you, a special crew. Hey, you two, about time. There's a job to do. Let me introduce you to the others. This is Rink, who can navigate and pilot. Hi, Haas. Let's go for a ride. I'm going to assume that he means Haas and not Hose. I mean, maybe I should read it as Hose, because that's kind of funny. Hi, Hose. Let's go for a ride. And this is Tora, who is a specialist in weapons. Okay, that's cool. I like to think of myself as a professional who solves problems through the precision application of kinetic energy. This is so cool. Are we ready? All set. We just need to get our ship. Why is it special? It's made to go through the asteroid fields undetected. Sort of. Sort of? Well, it's uncomfortably small and has thick armor and is really slow. It's this one. You're sure? Daring F-19 double-checks his holopad. Yep. HMS Narcissus. Same registration numbers. I look at it. Sleek, golden, sectioned like a glorious thing of dust-enhanced fishbone and ornate Horatian scrollwork. I begin to understand some of Extras B-12's obsession with space battles. There. Daring F-19 types a code into his datapad. I hear the transmit ping, and one of the sections of this beautiful craft lifts up. Something falls out of it. Refuse, I guess, or maybe a chunk of asteroid to be processed? It's round, brown, and ugly, and more reminiscent of what I had to deal with back when I was cleaning the toilets than something from this glorious starship. Daring F-19 and Turgus F-07 run over to it excitedly. I hear the transmit noise again, and part of this brown excretion opens up. Light comes from the inside. The two of them point excitedly. Wait, we're supposed to be flying that thing? What, you thought they'd give us a Barrow-class ship? Ha! You guys are braver than I thought, or maybe less sane. They run over and enter the space turd excitedly. Thank you for calling it a space turd. I climb in with a bit less enthusiasm. Rink, in the pilot's chair, smells of swamp, and Tor off to the side in some cubicle smells of cleaning products. It's going to be a long voyage. I think this engages the departure autopilot. The ship shifts violently left. Inertia keeps me violently in place. And the chair takes the weight of my stunned body, also violently. And I think this is where I'm going to wrap for this evening. I can feel a little extra crack in my voice, so that's a pretty good time to save my game. So, I will attempt to be a little more consistent with this, and next time, we'll find out where we go on the space turd. If you're watching this, thanks for watching. Otherwise, thanks, little ghost, for being excited about the things I'm excited about. Maybe we'll do story time sometime, or play something a little more exciting and maybe thinky. But until then, good night.